Hi everyone and welcome back. In today's video, we are going to discuss about an interesting use case that is going to give you better clarity on how step functions can help organizations. Now, many times we receive feedback from students stating that Zeal, even though we understand the basics of step functions and have tried it practically, we still don't understand how it might be useful in production environments. So this is one of the reasons why we are taking up very important use case on security incident response with step functions. Lot of organizations have very similar kind of architecture for various use cases. This will give you much more better clarity about the importance of step function service. Now the use case is related to administrator access policy. So what it states that whenever an administrator access policy is assigned to the IAM user, it instantly triggers a step function workflow, and as part of this workflow, it requires the approval from the admin team. Depending upon the decision, the policy is either retained or automatically removed. Let us understand this. So let's say that we have a new IAM user called as intern user who has joined your organization. Now what has happened is someone has given him the administrator access policy, which you should never do. So this is something that you have to be very careful about, and in fact this is very common in many of the organizations where even if a specific user needs access to a specific service, instead of creating a detailed set of policy, direct admin access is given to that user. So although this is the simplistic way, but this is not the best approach that should be followed. Now, as part of the use case with step function that we are discussing, what will happen is whenever an administrator access policy is granted to any user, the step function workflow will start. So the workflow will look something similar to this. So using the event bridge trigger, because the admin access policy is added, the event bridge will get triggered and it will start the step function workflow. Now as part of step function, first you have the lambda function, which is the validator, which will validate the policy. If it is the administrator access policy, then the step number 2 is to notify the administrator team. So this would be the security admin team. And how will they be notified? They will be notified via email. Now as part of email, they will receive two different links, one to either approve or one to either reject. So based on this, you also have the API gateway service which has the appropriate API, and this API is linked to one more lambda function of approver. Now at this stage, depending upon the decision, because at the email you will have the approve or the reject decision. Depending upon the decision, if it is approved, then the step function workflow will finish, nothing will happen. The user will retain the admin access policy. If the decision is rejected, then there is a specific lambda function over here. This lambda function will connect and detach this administrator access policy from the IAM user. So this is the workflow. Let's go ahead and look into it from demo perspective. This will give us better clarity. Now for today's demo, I already have the step function configured. So we have one state machine over here. If I'll quickly open this, let's look into the edit so that we can see the workflow. So you have the start, you have the end. So first you have the lambda function which can validate the request. Then the second related step is the approval. Then based on the approved decision, whether it is approved or rejected, then there are some additional lambda function that are involved. And again, behind the scenes, you also have the API gateway. First, let's have a demo. Then we'll discuss in more detail about the workflow. Now what we are going to do, let's quickly open up the IAM service. And in fact, let's go back over here. I'll quickly do an exit. At this stage, you see there are no executions. If I refresh, there are no executions over here. Now in the IAM console, I'll go to users. And within here, we have multiple set of users. One specific one for today's demo is student test user. Now let's say due to some mistake, someone has added the administrator access policy to the student test user, which they should never do. So the administrator access policy is added to the user. Now as soon as this specific policy is added, now if you'll refresh this, you see immediately it just took few seconds and immediately the execution started as part of step function. Now if you look over here, this is how it is. So currently it is at this stage, it is waiting for the approval from the security team. Now how it is waiting for the approval, it has sent the email. Now if you see, this is how the email will really look like. So you have click to approve, you have click to reject. So there are two different links that are available. This in turn is integrated with the API gateway. If you look into the link, it is api.useast1 over here. And in fact, let me also quickly show you. If I have the API gateway service, and here you see we have one API that is available over here. Now, which one should we test first, whether approve or reject? We are going to explore both of them, so there is no room for confusion. First, we are going to go ahead and look for rejection. This will give us better clarity. So admin team realized that the student users should not have been given the admin access. So they'll click on the reject link over here, which is the below one. As soon as I click, it says action processed, reject. Now, if you see, this time the approval related workflow did not run. You had the rejection workflow where you had the Lambda function that was invoked, which would remove the policy. Now for the student user over here, if I quickly refresh, you see the admin access policy was completely removed. Alright. So this is one very important workflow that you have to be aware of. Again, based on this, you can understand what interesting kind of security workflows or even other type of workflows that you can create. Now let's do one thing. This was the execution number 1. The status is succeeded. Let's try it one more time where I'll go ahead and I'll add the administrator access. Let's do a next. I'll add the permission. Now again, as part of this, a new execution will start. As you can see, it is so fast. A new execution will start, and again now it is waiting for the approval from the security team. Now if you see, we received one more notification over here. When I click on show, this time it clearly says that there is a user called as student test user, and this user has the administrator access, whether the request should be approved or rejected. This time I'll say that, okay, this is fine. I'll click on approve. So action is processed and things are approved. Now you see, this time you had a different workflow. The Lambda function that was part of the remove policy, this was not really used. And this time the approve and finish stage was used. Now as part of this, since the security team has approved, if I'll quickly refresh, you see the administrator access policy is not touched. It is still attached to the student user. Great. So I hope with this demo, things have become much more easier to understand about the important aspect of the step function service. And there can be so many interesting workflows that you can achieve using step function. Many interesting workflows as part of the security incident response related use cases. Now at an overview, let me also show you the other services. For example, we were discussing about Event Bridge. So if I'll quickly go to the Event Bridge service, we go to rules. You see we have one rule of demo capture admin attach. And the event pattern is very simple. All it does is it verifies whether the appropriate policy of administrator access is attached. So it is looking for the event name of attach user policy, and this is the policy ARN. So if this policy is attached, the overall workflow will begin. And the target over here, you see, the target is the step function state machine that we had created. So as soon as the admin access policy is attached, the event bridge will target the step function workflow and this will start. Then now you have the SNS where the email will be sent to. Then you have certain Lambda functions. At an overview, let me also quickly show you the Lambda functions. You see, we have multiple set of Lambda functions that are available. Validator, remediator, as well as the approver, all are based on Python. And together with all of the integration, a very interesting use case of security incident response for the administrator access policy is achieved. So I hope with this things have become much more easier to understand, and with this we'll conclude today's video.